Hey guys, John here, and welcome back to the Synthmaster 3 tutorial course. Today we're going to be covering the multi-stage envelope, and if you watched the previous video about the ADSR envelope, this multi-stage envelope should be pretty simple to understand. So let's right-click up here at the top and hit Preset. Now to add one of them, go down to the gear icon, select this, go to Add New, and then Multi-Stage Envelope. And for this example, we're going to bring down our frequency and then drag and drop this here for some modulation. So the big difference between these two envelopes, the first one, the ADSR, we have our four stages. We have our attack, decay, sustain, and release. Now with the multi-stage, it's exactly what the name suggests. We have multiple stages and we get to decide how we want this envelope to behave. Now, if you look down here, we have some different things. We have our squares and we have our circles. The squares represent the points or our stages in this envelope, and the circles are going to represent the curvature in between these different points. And this one is going to be special that has the line through it here. This is going to represent our sustain phase. So if we click this here and brought this down, it would sound something kind of like this. And to change the curvature, again, it's a circle here. We click and drag downwards for a curve like that, or upwards if we want something a little bit different. So essentially, we're basically moving these points here, creating our envelope however we'd like it to be. And we have some really cool options as well. So we can click and drag on the sustain and bring this to the left, and this is going to start a loop. And down here at the bottom, we can decide also how we want this loop to behave. Now on loop count, by default, this is going to be infinity, meaning as long as we're holding down a note, this is going to repeat this loop over and over and over and over again for infinity. Now, if we click this, we can change this to, for example, say 3, and let's play some notes. And then it finishes. So it's going to loop 3 times. We can also go up all the way to 32. Again, we can go to infinity forever, or we can turn this off if we just want a one-shot type of envelope. So let's bring this back down to infinity, and we have a couple other things here. So we have our loop start, which is going to be 2. As we can see here, it's going to be on this second one here, and it's going to end on the third one, which is this one down here. So instead of always having to count these points in case your envelope gets pretty crazy, you can always look down over here, and we can also see how many different stages we have as well. So we can add some more and take some more away, depending on how we want to do it. If you want to add the points manually, we just double click in here, and we can add our own points like that and move it around however we want to. Now, as with the ADSR envelope, we also have an envelope amount here. So as I hold down some notes here, we're reducing the envelope amount. Now, in the last video, when we talked about this, we might ask ourselves, okay, well, why exactly do we have this when we can just drag it from here and bring it down here as well? It's a very similar effect, right? If we did the same thing here again. Now, this is really useful because this is basically a global envelope control. So let's say, for example, we have this envelope on 20 different things. So instead of going into the modulation matrix and bringing all of them down by maybe a certain amount and then going through all of them, we just have one knob to control the overall influence, which is actually pretty cool. And then we also have envelope lag. So this is going to round out some of our harsh points here. Now up here at the top, as we had with the ADSR envelope, we have a bipolar button we can switch on and off, which is essentially going to change our envelope signal from a unipolar signal to a bipolar signal, meaning it's going to work on the negative and the positive. So we talked about this in the ADSR envelope episode, so if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend you check that out as we talked about this a little bit more in depth. And then to the right, we have trigger. So by default, this is going to be on poly, meaning that anytime we hit a note, this envelope is going to fire. And if we take this off loop real quick here, let's drag this back here. Anytime we hit a note, this envelope's going to fire. Now, if we change this to mono, this is essentially the legato mode. So if we hit a note, it's going to fire. But if we hold down that note and then we add another one, it will not fire. Once we let go of all the notes, then it's going to fire. We press a note, hold it down, add another note. It's not going to fire. And again, as I said in the last episode about the ADSR envelope, once we get to LFOs, we're going to talk more about global and random. And here on the right, we also have a sync mode. So if we select this here and we can turn on snapping to say maybe a quarter note, for example, we can start snapping our envelope to our BPM, so our project, which is actually really cool. So let's say, for example, we want an envelope to start and finish or go to its attack phase over one bar or a quarter note or whatever we want to do. This is how we would accomplish that. And right above our sync button, we have a lock length feature. So as we start moving these envelopes here, it's going to change the time. So if we brought this out of sync and started moving things around, we can see that it's changing the overall length of our envelope. So if we select lock, it's going to lock the length of our envelope. So we can come in here and start moving points without having to worry about our envelope changing time. So that's basically all there is to this multi-stage envelope. It's rather simple to understand, but it's also very useful if we want some very custom types of modulation. And the last thing I'll leave you with here, if this window here is a little bit too small to start working in, we have a magnifying glass that we can click here, and we have a much bigger window so we can really fine tune and adjust our modulation. And to exit this, we go to the X right up here at the top right, and we're back here into the synth. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you in the next one.